covered in the last session. So
Okay.
we started with the project management knowledge area in our last session. We are basically started to learn how this is going to help us to understand the project management in terms of addressing all the nook and corners of the project management policy processes and the execution for a given organization. Okay, every organization have something called quality management system where they have all the templatization, they have all the processes defined as far as how to execute a project, as far as their domain, their specific products or their specific solutions they normally create, right? Now, project integration management is one of the most prominent knowledge area in terms of having an umbrella activity of achieving the project management processes and giving them a customized shape for a given project at hand. Now, we have a customized policy and processes adoption for an organization in QMS, and the QMS we further customize to a level which is fit for our projects at hand. And in this knowledge area of project integration management, we have 7 processes. So we need to complete these 7 processes to make sure we address all the nook and corners in this integration management knowledge area. That's how we can read for the project management, 10 knowledge area we have for us to cover. And within 10 knowledge area, there are quite a few hands-on experience also. Like we'll create a basic Microsoft project plan with Excel sheet. So you know each and every entity of this project plan to make sure you track and you manage this project up to a nth level entity. You won't miss anything. That's the basically motto behind planning the Microsoft project plan in Excel. They will basically do a hands-on on Microsoft project. In the next step, we'll do hands-on on Jira as well, because Jira is getting popularized left and right. Quite a few organizations use Jira because it's fitment to the Agile Scrum in the better, in a better way than Microsoft project plan. But of course, Microsoft project plan is the still most prominent project planning tool used across the industry. Okay, so going to do lots and lots of hands-on practice on Microsoft project as well. So let's try to understand the integration management knowledge area. The first process is develop project charter. Now, project charter is basically the basic document where we start creating the initial project vision mission. And this includes the contract agreement, the work order, and what all we communicated to the client from our side, from our company. So this mostly include the SRS, or it can be just a copy of SRS as well. But as SRS don't include revenue, topics or the penalty topics and everything, the project developed charter normally include those as well, like how much the client is going to pay or committed to pay in the initial stage of discussions. So this is the project charter. We had shared a template of a project charter just to make sure we understand them, and I'll share with everybody again. Don't worry on that part. So it's just a Word document predominantly most of the time. Sometimes it can be an Excel sheet also. So what project charter includes? Project charter includes a complete statement of work, the contracts, agreement, and the system requirement specification, which also include the high-level conceptual solution, the use case diagrams, the Excel-based auditory artifact for the decision you have chosen to implement, or your options you have decided to adopt, like the biometrics of the world, like the iris scanners of the world. Just to give us heads up to Kunalji, let me reiterate the example which I normally share with you all. I understand we are working as a project manager for a company called Infosys, one of the most IT giant in North America. And Infosys is serving State Farm as a client. State Farm is one of the most prominent insurance agency. It has health insurance, auto insurance, this insurance, and that insurance. Let's not worry about that thing. The VPHR comes to Infosys via a sales manager saying, "Hey, sales manager, I want to enhance my attendance management solution because we have too many proxies, too many false attendance, and so on and so forth. So there is a business analysis completely process completed by the business analyst team who are reporting to the sales manager. And then the SRS they have created, it's transferred to me as a project manager. So I am handling this project right now in a capacity of project manager with 10 odd resources. So even I have the business analyst in an advisory capacity. I have a project team members of designers, architects, developers, testers, and few others to make sure I execute this project without any glitch. Now, all these, planning is called initial project planning, where I develop, or those things are all included in the developed project management plan. Now, it's a planning process group, and the planning process group starts with a developed project management plan. This is an umbrella activity. This plan doesn't include all the nitty-gritty, but it includes an umbrella plan for all the knowledge area. So we have a bit of risk mentioned here. We have a bit of assumption mentioned here. We have a bit of cost, factors mentioned here, which we have included in the project charter. We have a bit of resource name and designation included here to make sure we have all the, stakeholder register or team member register as for the given projects at hand. And then the rest of the things we'll learn one by one. Let's not jump the bandwagon, but let's try to understand the basic nitty-gritty of these processes. So the planning process to start with a developed project management plan. Then move to the executing process group. Planning process group, executing process group, and monitoring and control process group works parallelly across the project. Initiating process group, it initiates the project, and closing project group, it closes the project. Now, in executing process group, the first process is direct and manage project work. Now, this process basically tracks down all the tasks, work item or activities we need to perform, or who is going to perform, and when they are going to perform. So this talks about the basic project planning in terms of task, schedule, resource aligned to that. And that's the basic of the normal project plan if you use any tool, be it a Microsoft project, be it Excel, or be it a Jira, Primavera, and dime a dozen of those things. Then manage project knowledge. As we know, we have to improve as the project goes. We need to learn from each of our experiences. Even the current project is also an experience. What we do, we archive the knowledge we learn, and we get leverage of the other knowledge who have done similar projects earlier. Now, that's why we have a knowledge management area as far as the organizational helping hand towards building efficient project practices. And that's why we have a process called manage project knowledge. Here, we normally archive our best practices chosen by us, and we add these processes to the organizational knowledge area. Okay, and that's a kind of knowledge archival system nowadays each and every IT company has with them. Then we comes to monitoring and controlling process group, monitor and control project group. This process area includes all the activity you do to monitor and control each and every task, schedule, and the resource we have planned in the direct and managed project work. So this is basically tracking the project plan by task by task, activity by activity, work item by work item. And every organizations have a way to manage the project as far as one of these entities. So either they have a task names or activities name or work item name, depending upon their policies and processes. Every thing has their own pros and cons, and we will learn whenever we do Microsoft project plan by ourselves or the Excel-based project plan by ourselves. But just to understand right now, we track or we micromanage each and every task in terms of which is assigned to a resource with a schedule. So if Ravindra has a task to fit the biometrics in the Bloomington office of a State Farm from 7th May to 12th May, I'll keep checking with him how much work has been completed. So if I ask him on 10th May, the work completed should be almost at around 70 to 80-85%. If that's the range it falls in, we are good. If not, then we have a challenge. Even if we are lagging, I need to make sure the task should be or must be on the track. If we are going ahead, then I need to plan the other task, or I need to give some additional task, and that additional task can be fit some additional machine in the other entry areas, or have those uh, have do something called proof of concept, as we learned, right? Proof of concept is basically actual business trial with a business user that we can do if we have finished the fitment of these biometrics, and then we can have a what you can say trial run, and that's same thing as a proof of concept. So we'll get that executed by the same resource base if they are running ahead of time. So I can have extra tasks done by them. So that's why micromanaging the task, schedule, and the resources is what this monitor and control project work area denotes to. We had this thing last time. This is actual project management. It's the crux of the integration project management knowledge area. It's crux of the overall management of the project with the task, work item, or activity planning we have done with the resource attached and a calendar attached to it. Does anybody have any questions till date? Any confusion? Every time I explain, I might use some different words. So you might be hearing some additional things. We are repeating this thing for the third time. The last, this is the last knowledge area we've discussed. Perform integrated change control. What is integrated change control? We couple all the other management areas together. So we have a risk added to this project plan of monitor and control project, and we set up a policy and process to review risk mostly on a weekly basis, if not daily or monthly, depending upon your organizational policies and procedure, the complexity of your work, complexity of your solution. We normally plan the frequency of risk review. Those meetings are called risk review. And as 85% plus project use Agile Scrum nowadays, so I normally relate these perform integrated change control to reviewing backlog, project reviewing, rechanging the discipline in case if you are using something called flexible sprint. Sprint is basically a duration where you plan a iteration. So my normal sprint is a weekly sprint, and the minimum sprint I can plan for is 3 days, maximum 3 weeks. That's a standard thumb rule. But some companies go above and beyond, and they can plan 4 weeks sprint as well. But that's not advisable, because during 4 weeks, everybody is doing his task, his or her task, right? So to conclude and integrate them, we require some time. So the time and efforts required to conclude all the tasks, collect all the tasks, and have an update, it's a mammoth task by itself. That's why we normally have an effective sprint plan of 3 days to maximum 2 weeks. That's again, industry-wide thumb rule. It does change within organizations to organizations. So if you work with Infosys says normally plan a weekly sprint, and then we can have additional couple of hours plan on Monday morning to review the sprint. So they also do these a disciplined approach as far as Agile Scrum goes, and this is what the total perform integrated change control. This will make sure where we stand as of today. This also includes something called earn value management calculations, the ROI calculation, return on investment calculation, the actual cost run, overrun, underrun of a given project, actual schedule creep, requirement creep if there are any, or if you can find out any. So this is basically a detailed project execution audit as far as you can say. And project manager does this because he is responsible for completion of a project, not the scrum master. Scrum master is basically a person who manages the scrum meeting. That's all. And the backlog priority as per the product owners suggestions, updations, and guidance. But more or less He is a merely, you can say, meeting scribe plus some additional say over the priorities and scenario of the task, activities, and work item to be planned. Okay, we're going to do this with a hands-on experience, so don't worry. You'll learn in depth which is more effective in which which type of project. So don't worry on that part. Then the last process group within project integration management is uh, close project or a phase. Now, phase is a kind of entity we define logically. So phase can be a sprint as well. So when I say the sprint ends at a weekly time, at a Friday evening, I close the sprint. So whatever spill over or whatever task couldn't get completed within that sprint time, I'll mark them as a delay. So this is a kind of milestone. Milestone is basically reviewing the goals at a given instant, at a given schedule, so that we track or take a stock of a project. And we do every time, even if you don't use Agile Scrum, even if you're working on a waterfall, you just make sure you check your project schedule. Are we on time? Are we delayed? Are we ahead of our time? And something like that. So we normally ask these three questions for each and every task which are allocated to a given resource. Anybody have any questions on these things?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, great. So no problem. So let's try to understand and go in depth with each and every of these knowledge area, so that we can learn project integration management and review it again. I'll just stop recording.